All right. Hello, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, Peter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to CONSERVATIsh, episode 85. My name is Peter Feliciano. I'm your host and the best person in the fucking world. You can hear a new episode every Monday and Thursday. Support this podcast at patreon.com/conservatish. You can find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. You'll recognize my face. And see me every Saturday at Scopo Divino in San Francisco performing. And remember, August 17th at Brick and Mortar is my big album release party. Kevin, you are our guest today.
Hey.
Thank you very much for coming on the show.
No problem, man.
So, you saw me perform at Eureka, I guess, in Cupertino?
Yep.
Like, what, 2 years ago or something?
Yeah, I think it was like maybe 2-3 years ago.
Hold up the mic a little higher.
Yeah, 2-3 years ago.
Oh, okay. And how was I? Was I amazing?
It was very fun.
Okay, good.
Very unexpected, the songs you were playing.
You see that? Very unexpected. I raised the bar for humanity and for musicians everywhere. And what was your? I guess you found I guess you found me on Facebook. And I guess the reason why I wanted to have you on was because I had posted. I think I told you the story, right? About that Asian meme.
The meme, yeah.
Yeah. So I posted this meme a few months ago. It was offensive. It was, what was it? It was damn it.
Like crying in Ching Chong.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So it was when your girlfriend invites you over to eat her pussy, but then she takes off her pants instead of bringing her cat, and it says on the bottom, cries in Ching Chong. And I offended some white liberals, but even though I had offended some white liberals, and I had this long conversation with this friend of mine who was like, this is not okay, man, and, you shouldn't be doing this, and you shouldn't be making these jokes, and, I like George Carlin and Richard Pryor who made offensive jokes, but they did it for a different reason. You're doing it for bad reasons. And I got off that phone call, and I was just like, I felt kind of like, well, I'm not doing it for bad reasons, and I do just want to be about free speech and humor and shit, you know what I mean? And then when I got a message from you that was just LOL about it, I was like, wait a second, you're an Asian guy, and you didn't mind the fucking meme. Like, why is this white liberal guy getting mad about it, but you don't mind it, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
So what did you? I guess what was your reaction to it?
I mean, because it was funny, and
Right.
like I'm not Chinese, I'm Vietnamese.
Sure.
So that's another reason why
So maybe
probably.
that's
And I mean, it was funny, honestly.
Right,
I was
right,
like,
right.
that's clever. That's a good joke,
I didn't even make it too. I mean,
Yeah.
I just retweet,
Yeah.
reposted it or
I mean,
whatever.
it happens all the time these days, like all like a bunch of forums and stuff like that. Just
Right.
People posting memes. And
Right.
it's not that like ethnicity or whatever. It's funny, It's not like a video of like somebody like shooting up a school, that's offensive. But like
That
it's
is
like a joke
offensive.
like that.
Right.
It's like no harm, no foul,
Right.
Yeah, it's not like you're actually saying like, oh yeah, Ching Chong, whatever. And stuff like that.
Right.
It's just
Or
the memes
I hate
stuff.
Asian people.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
anything. Right. Yeah, and one of the things that I've always thought about is that that was a heartening experience. I just wanted to say thank you very much
Yeah.
for I know you probably didn't know that I had that phone call with that dude right before then.
Yeah.
But it was just like, oh, okay, I'm on the right track. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
when those synchronicities come together,
Yeah.
it's like you kind of have to try to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So have you always liked offensive humor, or have you always not minded it, or
Probably I probably didn't get it before, like
Yeah,
you'd
yeah,
be able
yeah.
to catch those jokes and stuff, but now like it's like a lot more like active in the society, like a lot of memes and stuff like that. It's like more common. So
Right.
you kind of just like have to laugh at it, it's gonna happen regardless of, you can't take it to heart. So yeah, I mean it's cool. I mean I still dig that stuff, maybe more so now because it's just like stuff like subtle Asian traits, and like people are actually making memes like specifically for those kind of things. And
for the what kind of trick?
it's like a Facebook
Hold
group
the
called
mic a little closer.
it's got a Facebook group called like Subtle Asian Traits. It's like subtle
Asian traits?
Subtle Asian traits. Like
Okay.
millions of people on that group. It's like a bunch of like Asian memes in there, like specifically for Asian Asian people and stuff.
Right.
They have like stuff like that on there, basically. It's like funny. So like,
Okay.
it's like a whole thing that's happening right now too. So I mean,
Right.
I'm digging that.
Right. So there does seem to be a group of people because so many people in the politics area and the media and stuff are like pushing so hard to like be like offended by stuff, that there's this weird resurgence of people who are like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna be as offensive as possible."
Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, kids are great at these memes and stuff.
Right.
You know, they're like even better than adults making these memes. And
Oh, yeah.
you'll see like an Instagram page, like something like Daquan or whatever. He was like in high school and he has like millions of followers for all these funny memes and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's like a normal thing. It's like, so yeah, honestly, it's like a big deal.
Yeah, well, it doesn't seem like a big deal.
Yeah.
Do you feel like maybe part of it is too that you? I don't know. I mean, do you laugh the same at Vietnamese memes or?
I do if like I'm like, okay, all right, I get that one. Like that one makes sense, you know,
Okay.
like and then, like stuff like that. Otherwise, I'll be like what? No, I don't get that one. Like
Okay, yeah.
like, what? It's not me.
Yeah, I've listened to a bunch of comedians talk about it, and they've said like, okay, you can talk about the most offensive things, but it has to be funny. Like as
Yeah.
long as it's funny,
Yeah, exactly.
then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I liked about that meme was that it was, you know, kind of caught you off guard. It made fun of the Chinese eating dogs and cats.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that fucking cries and ching chong. I don't know where the fuck that officially. Well, who made that? Like, who the fuck made something that said cries and ching chong? Like, and it doesn't come from a place of hate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what. Especially the white people are confused by is they think that the subject of the joke is more the butt of the joke, number one, and number two, being the butt of the joke is somehow can be what's the word I'm fucking looking at? It can be confused for hate.
Yeah.
It's not hate. You know what I mean? Like I often talk about on the podcast, like I think that each one of our different races have strengths and have weaknesses and have, you know, good things and are great at shitty things too. Like one of the things that, you know, one of the big stereotypes that is absolutely correct on the whole, not always, but on the whole, is that white people can't dance. like I think we should absolutely be allowed to make fun of white people for not dancing, but I think we should be allowed to make fun of Chinese people for not necessarily being the best drivers sometimes. You know
yeah,
what
that's
I mean?
definitely true, dude.
That's definitely
Sorry.
you
No,
drove.
that's
You
true.
just drove from across the street. It took you 2 hours to get it.
All right.
But like, it absolutely is. From my experience, you know, sometimes it's an old lady, but often it's that. But it's not like I don't want Asian people to have their licenses taken away.
Yeah.
I don't want to like hate them. I just want to point out what I've experienced. That's it. I just want to be able to speak freely and point out what I've experienced.
I mean, yeah, it's completely true in Cupertino. Like, there's a lot of really bad drivers there, you know. I mean,
Right.
I noticed it, you know, and so like, hey, if it's there, it's there, you know. The shoe fits, and yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
But
I
it's
mean,
not-
I don't hate them for it. I don't
Right.
hate the whole generation of race here. They're just like, it's like more common
Right.
in that, you know, culture, I guess, or maybe in that sense, or specifically,
Right.
you know. Yeah,
Did you ever hear the comedian Patrice O'Neill?
I have not.
So he talked a lot about he was this big giant black dude, and my favorite comedian of all time. And he talked about the difference between there is a racist light, and he called it racial. You know what I mean? Where it's just like it's not racist, like, you know, tiki torches or whatever the hell, but it's racial. You know what I mean? Where like you could acknowledge a stereotype or not like a certain person, like initially when you don't know them. Obviously, I like individually all kinds of Chinese people and Asian people and black people and whatever, but I may have judgments about drivers or about, you know, criminals or about certain things, you know, where like if I made a joke, it's not a judgment call, it's just a damn joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the big thing that I want to be able to fight for is to defend against people trying to shut that down.
Yeah.
You know, did you hear all the stuff with YouTube happening last week with Steven Crowder?
Is that the guy who like is totally conservative and like says a lot of like anti like LGBT stuff and like they shut down his site? Is that
No,
the one?
he's more of a comedian.
Oh,
He's
okay.
a political pundit. Like he talks a lot about politics.
Okay.
But mostly he's just being in a jokey way. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
he tries to do it in a joke. And what YouTube started to demonetize his platform because he was making gay jokes about a certain Vox journalist.
Oh, okay. I think I heard about that actually.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was just making jokes, even if whether they were funny or not. He was just trying. It seemed like he was trying to make jokes. I mean, he has gay people around him. Honestly, Steven Crowder does kind of look a little gay, like, you know what I mean. So like, he can't really. But like, they wanted to kind of get rid of him for jokes. But, you know, one of the things that also happened a few days ago is that O.J. Simpson started a Twitter account.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that on Snapchat.
Yeah.
He's only gonna post like political and like serious things and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, where does the line, you know, I was just talking with a friend about it, and he was saying, well, you know, Facebook and Instagram, those are private companies. YouTube is a private company, so they are allowed to do that. And I agree, but at a certain point, when the rules aren't consistent, that's what bothers me, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, when they've become, like, nobody goes to Vimeo, you know what I mean? Like, maybe 2 or 3 people. Most of the time, it's YouTube. Most of the time, nobody goes to MySpace. They go to Facebook, you know what I mean? So it's almost like a monopoly.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to interfere with like Facebook and Amazon and stuff because it's getting too big, something like that with the government. Yeah, like soon. I think I heard about that.
Yeah. So when were you born here or were you born in Vietnam?
I was born in San Jose.
Okay.
So I first gen.
Okay.
Yep.
First generation. What was there good stuff about that? Have you faced racism in your life?
I see, like, not really, I guess because the area I'm in is like a lot better in terms of that, so I didn't really like deal with that other than like the joking sense, you know.
Okay.
And like I guess it's basically positive in being born in Vietnam because definitely more, you know, freedom and like more like I guess more Americanized, so it's a lot easier adapting into it.
Right.
So I guess it's definitely the positive there. Other than that, I don't really see any negatives from being born here.
Right. So you didn't really face a lot of like straight up like fuck this Vietnamese kid type of stuff.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I definitely have heard of it like around me, I guess. You know, like maybe like a school district over or something like that. But like the school I went to, like it was actually pretty good in that because it's really diverse ethnically. Right. So I guess I was pretty fortunate to have that.
Right. Definitely.
So far.
Did your family face any racism that you know of?
Just like my friends, but not my family as I know. But if it did happen, like they probably didn't talk about because like it's like a normal thing. Like, oh, I can't let this phase me. So this like happened before, and they just like they don't bring it up because it's like a normal thing, I guess, to live in America sometimes, which is like a bad thing, you know. So I haven't heard anything from them, but like from friends, I have heard like things happening to them. Right. So yeah.
There's this guy Larry Elder. He's this black conservative, and he tells a story about this poem when he was in school, and I think it was in college or high school, or probably high school. And he tells a story about this teacher sharing this poem about this black guy going over to Alabama or Arkansas, and this little white kid when he was a baby, or when he was a kid, this little white kid calling him the N-word, and how, you know, how it affected the rest of his life and how it's never going to go better. And Larry Elder, the black guy, goes to his mom and tells her about this poem and how this guy, you know, went there and he you know, throughout his whole visit, his whole holiday there, all he remembers is that white kid calling him the N-word. And you know, Larry was trying to say, like, you know, look at how racism affects this guy because of this word. And his mom turns to him and she's like, what a sad thing to let something so trivial ruin his vacation. You know what I mean? Because it's just some stupid kid calling you the N-word, and this guy, you know, so it shifted Larry's perspective on it. I think that's a mature thing. I mean, I definitely was made fun of a lot as a kid. It wasn't because of my race, because I think people don't know what I am. I've had some people think I look Asian, some people are like Mexican. I don't know what he is. For everybody out there wondering, I'm half Puerto Rican, a little bit of English, black, and German.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, nobody knows.
I thought you were complete Italian, like all the way, because your last name, you know. I mean, like Feliciano. I'm like, okay, that's Italian for sure. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no Italians out here, right? I mean, there's no Puerto Ricans out here. All Italians and Puerto Ricans are from New York. That's what, you know. But like, I didn't face any of that. I definitely was made fun of for being fat, and I remember, you know, it was a weird thing too. I remember I went to school in Cupertino. You went to school in Cupertino too?
Yeah.
Did you go to Kennedy?
I went to Hyde, and Cupertino after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Kennedy, and then to I was going to go to Monte Vista, but I got sent away. Anyway, it's a whole nother podcast episode. But I remember. Just to get, you're fine with dirty, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember I was like in 4th or 5th grade, and I had started jerking off, but I guess I told my friends, and they were like ragging on me, like, and not like joking ragging on me. They were like, oh, that's gross, blah, blah, blah. And then the following year, they were like, yeah, I jerk off too. You know what I mean? Like, so it was like, but I remember like being fat or being a pervert or whatever, like I felt weird about, you know, I got made fun of a lot as a kid, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, and it definitely it affected me, but I think as I became an adult, I started realizing, and it's still a difficult thing to keep an eye out for, but the fact that I'm responsible no matter what the outside circumstances are, no matter whether I'm white or black or whatever, like I'm responsible for my actions and for my reactions to shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's hard to remember that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it really applies. You know. So what do you do for work? If you don't mind?
So I'm in property management and I'm an account manager.
You're a what manager?
Account manager.
Account manager for a tech thing?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you move throughout the world? Man, I was picking up somebody in Uber yesterday, and I was like, I just was listening to these people talk about this tech stuff, and overhearing it, and I was just so bored. I was so. Were you always interested in it?
Nah, I mean, I actually wanted to be a high school history teacher.
You want to be a
I wanted to be a high school history teacher and like high school counselor and stuff before.
Oh, nice.
But it's the money there. So.
Yeah, there's no money there. What did you like about what interests you about history?
To me, history is kind of like a story. So when you're in history class, you're basically getting taught like a story, like someone reading you a book that's actually true.
Right.
So that was like pretty interesting. I like hearing stories. It seems pretty easy to me.
Right.
And like I really enjoyed like the high school setting, I guess, because I really had fun in high school, and like being around like young people, I guess, would make me like stay young and stuff.
Sure.
I was like really into school, like academics and like like rallies and like sports and stuff. So like I figured that if I was like teaching kids these things, like it can like make me still stay like with the times and like make me young and like so active. I can like actually like help somebody when like in their life, because like I'm not the traditional like Asian kid, like super smart, super straight edge, So I feel like, and I did get in trouble a lot in school.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a lot of trouble in school.
So you didn't play violin? They didn't make you?
Yeah, right. I'd play piano. I'm not like good at math.
Right.
So I feel like if I was, in school, actually like helping people through this stuff, they're like, okay, like it's not traditional. I can still get through stuff. I can help people out.
And it's altruistic too.
Yeah.
You're being of service to people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
but
good.
because like they work so much after hours and like they're always on strike for money and like all that stuff, and there's like how many teachers in the school, like how many positions are available, so like what, there's no money there.
Right.
I can't be doing this, which is a sad thing. Like teachers are a very influential part of a person's life when they're growing up, and for someone to not gonna do that because of the money and work, all that stuff, that's a sad thing.
That is.
Yeah.
I had no interest in any of that. So that's interesting. What age were you in high school when you thought about being a high school teacher?
Yeah, I guess like, when everyone's like in high school, like, what do you want to be? Like you have to decide now what you want to be. And like, I guess right when I got to high school freshman year, I was like, I want to be a teacher. That's what I want to do. It was like counselor at first because I guess I could help people more because it's counseling.
Sure.
But then it's even less like positions available for that. And like there's only like 3 counselors, maybe like 1 counselor for a school, compared to like how many history teachers. So I was like, okay, let's take it down a notch, think about position wise, let's be a high school history teacher. Right. And even then after that, I was like, maybe not, Right.
Yeah. Was there a certain history teacher or a certain counselor who really influenced you for that? Like,
there's a counselor that really helped me out through some hard times in high school, and I was going to break up, high school puppy love, whatever, Yeah. But I mean that affected me and that helped a lot. I was like, wow, this guy really helped me, I want to do the same thing for other people going through my situation. Right. So yeah, that was my influence for being a counselor. But I was already on that. I was already trying to do that path before I met with that counselor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. What was holding you back? Like, I know for me, like I was getting into drugs and alcohol. I was a miscreant little shithead. I think I was like 14 or 15. I would like hang out with homeless kids or homeless people. They were like 3 times my age, and panhandle and. I was steal. Were you that level? If you're comfortable talking about it.
I mean, I'll say yes. We'll not get farther than that.
No,
but yeah,
we'll go into details.
Yeah, I guess for me too. I guess it started out in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And then like, I guess hanging out with the wrong crowd. It's not like so much as like say no to drugs, kids. It's more like nobody does that these like, hey, you want to do this, right. That's not how it is these days. It's like you're hanging out with them and like, hey, what's that? I'm kind of curious about that. That's more of like that. It's not like nobody pushes you to do things anymore.
That is an interesting right. I don't think I ever felt like, when I look back, and I think that's a great point. Yeah. Nobody like peer pressured me like
to do this. Like, hey, nobody does that these days. Like that's not how it is. Right. It's just like who you're around with, your influences. how bored you are in life, I guess, or
Right.
whatever's going through your life and stuff. And I guess that's how I got introduced to that kind of stuff. And
Right.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. We'll keep it there. We'll keep it
Yeah.
there. But yeah, I had a similar experience. Like, it was more about me wanting to be accepted, me feeling like I wanted a distraction from everyday life. Because for me, like, so I don't know about you, but for me, I'm a sober alcoholic, and what my problem always was that I didn't like life as it was. Whatever this system that was set up, whatever, like, consciousness in general, I just disagreed with me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I had all this fear and anxiety, whatever. And so when I smoked a bowl, or when I drank something, or whatever, it just shifted everything and made me feel okay for just a minute. It was a distraction. It was whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I relate to that. Was it? Was there pressure, even though you weren't one of those kids who had the violin and the piano or whatever? Was there pressure on your end from your family, like extra pressure, you think? I mean, because I
hell yeah,
didn't grow up
dude.
in an Asian family, but I had pressure to be a good boy too.
Oh,
you
hell
know?
yeah, dude. I mean, if you're automatically Asian, I'm pretty sure there's just like, so many expectations,
Right.
and so many stereotypes that are true that are forced on you and stuff.
Right.
But I guess it all depends on how lenient or Americanized your family is
Yeah.
for them to like let it go a little bit or to not have as much. But I definitely did have those, especially since so I'm like the youngest out of four. So I have three older half sisters. Only one that I live with, but the one I live with. Because I was the younger one and I was like the only like male in the family, you know, so like there definitely was pressure for me to like, okay, you know, you gotta be the man of the house, you know, you gotta like, yeah, you can't like just like give up, you know, you have to actually work, you can't like be stay-at-home dad, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
And like because you're Asian, you know, all your relatives, all your cousins, you know, like are doing good in school, med school, all this, you know, blah 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 stuff. So there definitely was pressure growing up, even still now. Like, hey, you're not up to your standards, you know, you could be better, you know, all that stuff like that. So yeah, and in Cupertino too. So and Silicon Valley and all that stuff like that. And like, oh, we came over this country, you know. Yeah, of course. There's a lot of that happening with it. Maybe not as much because I guess for Vietnamese culture, it's not as, you know,
It's
like
not as entrenched as
not
the
as much
Indian
as like
culture
Indian
or
or
the
Chinese culture.
right.
So yeah, it's a little more lax, but there definitely still was there because I'm Asian.
Right,
So
right. Is there? I find that, you know, with the tech thing, is not just the boring conversations behind me in an Uber, but also there is that thing that, you know, when you go out to social gatherings, or when you go out to a club, or when you go out to a bar, the social, you know, hierarchy gets developed around what type of, you know, tech company you work for, or what type, like where you're at, you know, in your life. And maybe that's America-wide, but especially I feel like it's here. Like if you're not in that world, then you're not in that world. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
almost like a continuation of the social pressure that we felt as kids too.
yeah,
you know?
definitely for sure. Especially in Silicon Valley, and every time I go to SF, it's just like that. Like, oh, what company are you at? Like, what that company? Like, oh, I'm a startup. Like, oh, really? Like, oh, okay.
Oh, do they look down on startups?
I mean, probably not as a little more, you know, because like, oh yeah, you know, like startups, not a well-known name, you know. I'm
Right.
on Facebook, I'm on Google,
Right,
Amazon, you know, Apple, all that stuff like that.
Right.
So I mean, probably not as much, or maybe not like to your face, but like probably inside, like, you know, he's definitely like squandering his business license or his, his business degree, or like his computer science degree, you know.
Right.
Something like that, I guess. All like, oh, like nobody actually says like how much do you make, obviously,
Of
but
course.
like, you know, it's like, oh, where do you work? You know, that's that way of like doing it, you know, or like who's like flexing the most when they go out to bars, or like
Right.
renting out, like who drives the nicest car and stuff like that, you know, who has like the nicest apartment, like
Right.
high rise in San Francisco, stuff like that,
Right.
basically.
Yeah. What's your ultimate goal? I mean, do you ever want to go back to that idea of high school teaching, or do you ever, or is it like management and then the next level of management and then the next level of management?
I mean, like, I probably won't go back to that because like it's like probably too late for that, and if it's like, I mean, that's not like too late to like do. I mean, like it's too late to like I'm already doing something else, you know.
Oh, I
like
see what you
I rather, I guess like it's more important to make money,
Right.
you know.
You want to
because-
develop the skills that you currently have.
Yeah, like just
Right.
make money, I guess. You know, that's like most important thing for everybody these days. Make money,
Right.
enjoy life.
Right.
And like as of right now, and like not in the near future, I don't think about going back to that. Maybe if I'm like older, like retired, like, oh, maybe I want to like pursue this, you know. But like
Right.
as of right now, I don't see that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, how old are you?
Oh yeah.
You're still young, right?
I mean, I'm still young, but
You're like 20. I'm gonna say 24.
I'm 28.
28.
Yeah,
Okay.
28.
Black don't crack. That's right. Yeah, I was like, no, I guess 28. Yeah, I mean, my mom. I won't get into details, whatever, but she did a lot of like, later in life education, and she was able to do lots of that type of teaching stuff and tutoring stuff and whatever. Do you get to stretch that muscle of helping people in the tech management? Probably not. I guess.
I mean, not as much, I guess, for educational wise for people. Maybe like helping with saving money wise, I guess.
Sure.
But I mean, like, I guess we're always like teaching people and like in your own sense, like about life and like about saving money and stuff. Because I do hang out with like some of my friends. There are like ranges from like 22 and up or whatever and stuff like that. And like I still like will help educate like here and there when I'm like really drunk or something.
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, let me talk to you about something real quick.
Right.
I'll tell you. I was doing that last night. It's like some it's because they're like moving out, trying to help them like find a better place to live in for property management. So like, like here and there, I guess I do try to help and tutor, but not in the same sense as like school wise. I mean, history wise, hell yeah. When it comes up, like, hey, did you know that? Like stuff like that. Here and there, little small facts and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite history facts, or like your favorite like
period era
period?
and stuff?
Yeah.
It's gonna be world history, like World War One, World War Two era and stuff. I'm really into like that whole era. Like I really like that war stuff.
What drew you to it, or what draws you to it?
It was really interesting. Like it was really like big time in like the world. It was a world war. And like wars are always, I mean, wars aren't fun, but learning about wars are very interesting. Like all the battles, all like the new stuff that was created, like industrialism and like Holocaust. These are very interesting, very big, impactful things in like history, and that's what was really drawn me to that.
Maybe that's why you are okay with politically incorrect jokes, because you like Hitler so much. That's what.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's how Hitler started, was by allowing Germany to make jokes.
Can you cut that out of this?
Yeah, man. I guess Hitler's been. I mean, especially these days. Well, you must be, since you know a lot about it and you're very interested in that. When you see somebody on Facebook or whatever go off about like, well, this is the way Nazi Germany started, blah blah blah. Does it make you go like, oh, shut the fuck up? Do you feel a little?
I actually try not to watch those kind of things because like you definitely will get triggered.
Right.
It's just like those jokes. If you like pay attention to it too much, you're like setting yourself to get upset. So I try not to like watch those things. But sometimes it does come on like the news or like Facebook articles and stuff. It'll happen. And I'll like do like a sad face or like an angry face to it, trying to get too much into it.
Right.
Because I mean it's gonna happen. You can't do anything about it. You're gonna be arguing back and forth. You can't argue to somebody who's already dead set on whatever they're thinking.
Right.
So like I tend not to dwell on that. But I guess when it's like around me, like a friend will bring up like something about history or like something like that, like, oh well, it was like because of this. I'm like, actually, it wasn't. It'll go back and forth. It's like,
what's the most common misconception about that you find over and over, if you have?
Ah, man, honestly, all those times when those do happen, I'm pretty drunk, so like I probably won't remember. I won't remember, like
drunk history.
Yeah, exactly. Drunk history is like that. I watched like a show, like one of those like one of the episodes and stuff, and I'm like, I can't do this.
You can't
because I need to be drunk in order to watch this. Otherwise, I'm like, dude, this is so incorrect. Like,
right. I guess
like
maybe what's a misconception? I guess it's the Nazi Germany thing, but also
the Holocaust did not happen.
Oh my God! Yeah. Have you run across that?
I have. It's so crazy.
Just online or
just online.
have you ever heard it in person?
There's no way I've never heard it in person. Like I'm not in the right area for me to hear that in person. Like there's no way. Like
right.
And it's crazy and it sucks. But like. Right. What can you do? There's like a whole bunch of people out there thinking the shooting at Sandy Hook or that elementary school is fake. There's so many things about it. I'm like, dude, what can you do? You can't just be on there just like commenting like, hey, blah blah blah, because it's not gonna get you anywhere. It's not gonna get me anywhere. I mean, I know there's people out there like fighting for the truth, which is good, but like it's something that I can do to make a
Right.
difference, you know. So like, yeah,
I feel like the people who believe that stuff. You don't mind if I smoke, do you?
yeah, no, go for it.
I feel like the people who believe that type of stuff are people who either they're young, they're just kids, and that's their way of like acting out is to like, okay, what's the weirdest thing I could be into? What's the most offensive thing I can believe?
Yeah.
And so they believe that. Or it's dudes in their late like mid 40s to like 60, and they're already kind of lost on life anyway.
Yeah.
Like they're taxi drivers, which is easy for me to say because I've been driving Uber from time to time for a second. But they're taxi drivers or Uber drivers. They don't have a large social life, and they get into the flat Earth stuff, or they get into the, you know what I mean? And they get cut off from life. It's a hard. I don't know how we deal with that as a society. You know what I mean? I don't know how we reach out to the people that we're not actually touching, because by the time they've reached a certain point, there's nothing that can be done for a motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're saying.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you can't convince somebody who's gotten so, oh, you're just a puppet, you know, a Zionist puppet, or you're just a this, you know, like you're a puppet for the Illuminati. At a certain point, we can't reach people. I don't know what to do about that.
Honestly, yeah, like that's, I guess, like one of the big problems these days in society with like the whole LGBT thing and like abortion, all that stuff. You know, like someone's already did that on whatever it is. You can't really change it, and there's always going to be two sides or multiple sides to how a government's going to run. You know, you can't please everybody. It's just gonna always going to happen. Right. And like, there's really nothing you can do. You know, it's just, I guess, just be informed. You know, and like be educated. Be up with the times, you know, not be biased, have an open mind towards things, have your own ideals. If it's affecting other people or not negatively, then, you know, just focus on that, you know, basically how it is.
I feel like or I'd like to think that I'm flexible on shit, you know what I mean? Like the abortion thing is a big one because I don't like it, but I also don't want to take away someone's like rights at a certain point. But then I was just fucking watching, I mean, Miss Pat, you ever watch Joe Rogan?
No, but I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, you didn't
you don't even listen to my podcast. What kind of fucking what kind of fan are you,
Not
Kevin?
after today, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm more about the music.
I understand. I'm a multifaceted man. But I was watching Joe Rogan yesterday, and Miss Pat, who's this fucking hilarious comedian, was on there, and she was talking about how with abortion, it's like, well, this is my body, and I don't. It's just not just her body. Like there is a separate body. Now, I'm not saying that I think all abortion should be 100% illegal and fuck all people, whatever. But I mean, like, it's the people who are against it are not trying to control a chick's womb. Like, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. Like, there is a separate body growing inside your body, but it is technically biologically a separate body than yours. You know what I mean? So it's not just that. The people who are against it, some of them use Christianity or whatever, but ultimately it's deeper than just, it's not simple, it's nuanced. You know,
nothing's ever simple when it comes to those kind of things. There's always a little more than what it is, but it just seems to be that one-sided for certain people, or it just seems that those people are one-sided, but it's actually more deeper than that for certain things. Like, I definitely agree that, like, if it's their body, you know, they do what they want with it, and like in terms of like rape or molestation, stuff like that, then definitely. But I also do get that is a life, you know. Right. So I mean, I agree with that in that sense. So I mean, I am like more lenient with that, you know.
Yeah. And I think I actually have hope because of this podcast. Most of the people I sit down with, even when they come in like I do with my own set views and biases and whatever, most of us are kind of in the middle. I haven't had anyone who's like super. I mean, I've had a couple of really far right people. I can already hear the fans going, "What do you mean you've never had far right motherfucker?" I've had far right people, but even the one that I'm thinking of the most, who has kind of a bigoted ideas about gay people, he doesn't want them to die or anything. He doesn't want them to, like, you know, he's not saying, you know, he's not as, even he was very like kind and considerate when he welcomed me into their home, and you know, his wife and kids are running around. Like, it's a nice people. They're nice people. He may have some ideas, but like I was saying, like, everybody's kind of in the middle. Everybody's kind of okay. It's not as bad. It's not as stark as we're making it out to be, I think. You know?
I mean, also maybe because we're in the Bay Area too, which definitely does help. You know, I mean, I feel like if it was like maybe more the South, or like the East Coast, when it's like more very political, like they're very adamant about that, then I mean, if it does play a role, being Bay Area, you kind of have to be like more in the middle. So
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't really met anybody who's been opposite side. Maybe really, 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 really liberal, but not
Right.
really, really, really conservative. Because you can't really be that in the Bay Area. Not really, you know.
Well, you can, but there's
Yeah.
there are quiet underground people,
Yeah.
and they're starting to poke their heads up, and when they're poking their heads up, I find that people on the left are so rally, like they're so like, see, he's there, Trump is making these people poke their heads up, but it's like it's not racist. They just feel like they're tired of feeling guilt from the social, like especially like white people, like they're tired of being like, I'm a piece of shit, I'm a piece of shit, I'm a piece of shit. So they're just like, you know what? I've had trouble. There's so many white people who are poor. There's so many white people who have issues in their life, who have been made fun of, or who have been discriminated against, or whatever. Like it's not as simple as you have white skin, you have it better than everybody.
Yeah.
And so those people who are tired of feeling like I'm a piece of shit are like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna stretch out my fucking wings now. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say, you know what, fine. Yeah, I am white. Yeah, I am conservative, or I am a libertarian.
Like the straight parade.
The straight parade. Listen, I think from what I've heard, the straight parade was just more set up as kind of a joke. You know what I mean? Just as like, okay, you're gonna be like, oh, all straight people are the devil. Fine, I'm gonna make a shitty joke parade. I don't think it's actually as serious as social media.
I didn't know that. I was like, oh man, this is crazy.
Yeah. What was I just gonna say? I'm sure it was very poignant. Whatever I was going to say, it was very...
It's about like why people getting tired of like being like, oh, you're shitty people.
Oh yeah, that there is an underground. But I mean, that's one of the things, one of the reasons why I started this podcast was to introduce people in the Bay Area to a conservative or someone who's a libertarian, someone who's in the middle, and be like, it's okay, you can come out of your shell. Because even the liberals that I've had on the show are kind of conservative about some things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you want to call it conservative to be into free speech, most of the people that I've had on the show are kind of fine with free speech. Like, as long as you're not calling for violence, as long as you're not, whatever. Like, free speech is across the board. So that's considered a quote-unquote, by the people on the far left or social media or whatever, that's considered a conservative value, but it's so I feel like most of us are kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Like you were even saying about abortion. The guys I've talked to, they don't want no legal abortions, but they also think that having an abortion at 9 months is a little fucking much. You know what I mean? So most of us are kind of in the middle, know. So I feel kind of hope about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're like having sex left and right, getting pregnant all the time, I'm like, come on, that's kind of on you, obviously.
Were you having sex with what?
If you're like having sex like left and right, getting pregnant all the time, then that's definitely on you, I mean, that's understandable. Okay, you should not have an emotion, like that's on you,
Right.
But like when it's like serious stuff, that's not. Like, like I said, with rape and molestation, then yeah, of course, if you can't control that, then that's definitely should be allowed for that. If anything is what I'm saying,
Right. But condoms just do not feel good. I gotta say.
I mean,
I know I
gonna?
shouldn't say that. I'm not advocating for people to, but hey, if she doesn't stop me, I don't say. You know what I mean? If she doesn't go, if she says, "Do you have a condom?" and I say, and I kind of stall a little bit. She's just like, fuck it, just go, or if I start to put it in and she doesn't stop me, I'm like, all right, here we go, fuck it, I'm
not gonna make my jokes because I'm gonna hold on to that one. I was about to say that. I was like,
we'll turn off the recording. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll start wrapping up because I gotta head to work. And
yeah.
So this is a shorter episode, but I appreciate you coming on, Kev.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being willing to meet up and I appreciate you being somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean, on shit.
Am I the first Asian guy to have on your podcast?
No, the first one.
Oh yeah,
the first
nice.
one is named. If you haven't heard Sheldon, go listen to episode 1. There's no video, but
okay.
And I've been trying to get Sheldon back on the show. But he's a Canadian, Chinese descent, and he's a conservative. You know what I mean? So I felt like having him on was a great way to kind of start it off, and we had a great conversation about him living through the LA riots and playing in 80s bands, and it was a great episode if you haven't heard it. And I'm trying to get him back on the show, but yes, I have had an Asian.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, non-conservative and like younger.
Yeah,
And yeah. Okay.
I guess
Yeah.
you would has a yeah. I guess you
Yeah.
would.
So I guess.
you're breaking the boundaries.
All right.
so.
Nice. First.
Yeah.
First.
Now my podcast is gonna smell like noodles.
Yo, noodles are bomb, dude. Come on. And you like noodles. I mean,
I feel like pho is overrated. I like pho.
I don't like pho, but like
You don't like
noodles.
pho?
I don't like pho. Vietnamese. I don't like pho actually.
There you go, breaking boundaries. See, we're all somewhere in the middle. But yeah, thanks again for coming on.
Yeah,
Do you
of course.
have anything to last words or
Sorry if I offend anybody. Don't make fun of me on the comments and stuff like that. If you do, be nice. Yeah.
my fans are nice. Well, cool. Thanks for coming
Yeah.
on. Again, August 17th, Brick and Mortar Music Hall in San Francisco. I'm gonna have a giant album release party. I've been working on this album for 2-3 years. There's a lot of people. It's gonna be a big ass party. Put it in your calendar now. I want to see you all there.
Go. He's very funny. It's very funny. Definitely go drunk because it won't be as funny, but go. You enjoy yourself for sure.
And you can support this podcast at patreon.com/conservatish and find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. Subscribe to this channel right now. Don't even listen to the rest of it. Go hit the little goddamn bell right now. Like this video and share it with your less offendable friends. Only Asians. Only share this episode with other Asians.
No, don't show the Asians.
You get hate.
Just fine.
You get hate mail in the shape of Chinese boxes. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you again for coming on the
man.
show, Kevin. Appreciate it. Bye, everybody.